Peace and love. Welcome. That's right. Welcome to the Peace in the Morning Show. It's Funky Friday, baby. With the Queen, Ashely. Check her out and get ready to roll. We got a real important show for you today. We're talking about crisis in the Black community. We've got two of our dynamic leaders that are pulling it together right here on the Peace in the Morning Show. So share the show and get ready to enjoy the ride on Peace in the Morning. It's Funky Friday, baby. Go ahead, Queen, take it away.
These are the virtues you want for me. Oh, this is the way that I live. These are the things that I see. My mama, she told me, she said, blow my, blow.
Funky Friday, baby. What's up, y'all? Come on in. It's time for Peace in the Morning Show. Expresses brotherly love and devotion is a service from the Almighty One whom you love.
With courage we give myself
Very own power,
and with precision we become exact,
more accurate by the hour. Here we go. These are the virtues for you and for me. Ah, this is the way that I live, and these are the things that I see. My mama, she told me, she said, whoa, 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 bye. Whoa, 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 bye. All right. Peace and love. Good morning. This is Darius A. Stanton here on the Peace in the Morning Show. And we are so excited to have two dynamite, out-of-sight guests. Our focus today is going to be on crisis in the Black community. When you look at our health, when you look at what's transpiring in our education system, when you look at what's happening from an economic and a business perspective, when you look at mass incarceration, when you look at the issues that we're dealing with regards to our environmental justice, where we live, how we live, the foods that we're eating, the chemicals that we're exposed to, all of these things are impacting us at a very, in most cases, negative level. And so we've got two dynamite leaders here in the state of Maryland who are working to address these issues. And we're going to bring them on right. The very next folks that you'll see or hear from will be Dr. Ashely Queen and Brother Robert Johnson. I'll introduce them in a moment. We'll be right back after we follow this brief commercial on the Peace in the Morning Show. So make sure you get your folks tuned in, shine it, share it, and make sure you bring the love with you, because you know we got nothing but love for you. It's Darius A. Stanton with the Peace in the Morning Show. All right. Welcome back, or I should say welcome forward to the Peace in the Morning Show. It's Funky Friday, baby. That's right. That was the music of none other than Queen Ayasudebe. And speaking of queens, do we have a queen in store for you today? That is none other than Dr. Ashely Queen, a microbiologist, public health expert, financial strategist, and she owns Queen Consulting Group LLC, where she provides in the business of STEM. She's a public speaker and helps her clients excel in building sustainable wealth to support their personal and professional pursuits. So if you need some professional counseling or coaching, you might want to bring her in. If you need a public speaker or someone to deal with finance or health, you might want to give this queen a call. She's also an avid mentor and advocate. She co-founded an organization called Steampire. I like that. We want to hear about that too, providing a mentoring and resource hub for Black professionals and students in STEM. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, but I trust it won't be the last, please welcome to our show, Dr. Ashely Queen.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am all pumped up and ready to go. How
Same.
are you this morning, Dr. Queen?
I'm doing wonderful. Friday. I
Excellent.
love it.
Say
Great
it
day.
again.
I said it's Friday. Love it. Great day. Great start to the day.
That's right. That's right. And actually, it's not just Friday. It's Funky Friday here on the Piece of the Morning Show.
You're right. Funky Friday.
That's right. And I saw you getting funky out there at the Juneteenth festival, so I know you know what that's all about.
Definitely. Definitely. I had a great time there too.
So Ashley, Dr. Queen, thank you so much for being with us. We're really excited. Thank you for your leadership. Tell us about, we want to know about, we talk here to talk about two things. One, we want to learn about you and your background and what you do on a day-to-day basis. But also, we're talking about the crisis in the Black community and a conference that we're putting together, which is the first of ever that we believe, where we've invited all 163 Black elected officials throughout the state of Maryland. We're inviting the business leaders, community grassroots organizations, young people, seniors, you name it. We want them to be at Morgan State University on July 8th and 9th. Soon joining us will be the chairperson of our committee, which is Brother Robert Johnson, to join in with you to talk a little bit more about it. But Dr. Queen, tell us about yourself and being a microbiologist.
I am, thank you for that great introduction. For me, I'm a microbiologist. I'm a public health expert. I've been in the field for the past 10 to 15 years, really love everything that I do. I've kind of tapped into looking at infectious disease spaces, drug development, biological warfare, defense measures, all across the board, even down to the cleaning products industry. I've kind of tapped into several things. Some of the things I most heavily touched into was the idea of health disparities and health inequities. A lot of my work and research supported underserved communities. And so I see a lot of disadvantages that communities have, particularly the Black community, when it comes to our health, communicable diseases, just our understanding of it. And not just that, access to quality health care, access to quality health literacy, so we can make better decisions for ourselves and informed decisions for ourselves. I'm a big advocate for that, making sure that people understand just in a very basic way how their bodies work, how their immune systems work, how we respond to disease, how we can help to mitigate disease and infection, ways that we can how we can improve our behaviors and basically, I guess, prevent certain circumstances from occurring within our communities. And so I'm a big advocate for that. And what's interesting, underpinning that, is one thing I noticed that with, I would say, alongside with those health inequities, the low health literacy, that kind of runs hand in hand with finances. And that's kind of how I entered the financial field, because I noticed that if you lived in an area that was underfunded, if you were of low income, you more than likely are in an area that is serving low income individuals. And because of that, there's low funding to support health literacy, support proper and adequate and robust health programs and opportunities for the local inhabitants. So I kind of wanted to create an opportunity where I can show individuals from any economic circumstance how they can put themselves in a position to actually protect their families, for them to actually be able to build wealth for themselves and something that's sustainable, something that's accessible to everyone from children to adults. That's something I really advocate for. So I'm really happy to incorporate that in the work that I do. And so outside of that work, I'm a public speaker, so I definitely do panel discussions on healthcare, on more specific infectious diseases and topics related to that. But then also on say on the more philanthropic side as well, I really like to give myself to support basically individuals like me. I'm a science student. Me and two other scientists, we came up in similar circumstances where, we went through school, went through our programs, met a lot of challenges. Some of it is because there are disparities of us even being in those spaces. And so for us, what we did, we came together and we're like, look, the three of us, we were very fortunate to make it as far as we did in our careers because we actually had access to some excellent mentors. But I know several people who've been in this field and they just kind of like dispersed over time. They just didn't sustain in the STEM fields just because they didn't have the right mentorship, the right guidance on how to get through to the next stages. And so we put our heads together and we actually formed a nonprofit, or it's in formation of a nonprofit, and it's called STEMpire Inc. And so basically this organization is a mentoring and resource hub for Black professionals and students in STEM. And it's just based upon the premise that if you have the right mentorship, you have access to the right resources, if you have, as we'll be offering specialized webinar and just basically technical aspects for different elements across the STEM space, teaching special techniques, professional development, just things that you need to springboard yourself while you're in your career as you enter your career. Because we know too many of us know the concept of, you applying for your first job out of college and they're saying, okay, well, you need to have this level of experience despite it being entry level. We're trying to bridge that gap so we can give individuals that experience, that exposure, so they know what's available to them. And so they know how to tap into anything they need to propel them to the next stage in their career. So they don't have to work quite as hard as we did to get where we are now, which is something one of my mentors, Dr. Alvin Smith, really impressed upon me. And so just really engaged in that work, happy about everything that I've been doing, how I've been impacting the community. And so when this conference came about, the idea, Brother Robert Johnson, everything, it was perfect because it's just very fitting to everything I've been doing, and just to be in one place where you can come together from a multitude of different disciplines and discuss different things that affect the Black community, what we can do to actually create actionable solutions and things that we can actually take home and implement right there, same day and beyond the conference. That's something I'm really excited about and really happy to be a part of and to contribute to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for the excellent work that you're doing and being a leader. You're not just talking about it, but you're actually doing it. And you're creating opportunities for people to be involved and understand the importance of science, technology, engineering, and math. And STEAMpire, we have to come back on and have you and your colleague talk about that so we can really dig deep into that space. But you mentioned Robert Johnson, who is the director of My Brother's Keeper, Prince George's County Network, and a member of the Caucus of African American Leaders. A dear friend of mine, Robinson, he went on a 110-day, I believe, fast, to support voting rights. As a result of that, he's now the chair of our committee that is focused on creating this conference that is addressing the crisis in the Black community here in the state of Maryland. He's an experienced educator, father, community leader, activist. He wakes up and listens to Francis Cress Welsing in the morning. That's the kind of brother that he is. So some of us listening to jazz or some hip hop, or this brother, he's getting in tune and getting ready to go to work to make sure that our community is safe. So without any further ado, let me bring to you none other than our brother Robert Johnson.
Peace. Good morning, King Darius and Queen, right? The Queen of Queens, Ashely Queen. Right? So thank you for having me, brother. Always appreciative of you bringing me on your show.
All right. So it sounds like we were having some double echo issues a moment ago. I don't know if that's been cleared up, but hopefully we'll be able to get that tight. But thanks for letting us know, and please let us, if it continues, please give us a shout so we can clear that up. But we're here to make sure that we promote this conference coming up July 8th and 9th at Morgan State University. And we definitely want to thank Morgan for, really working with us and giving us the support, hosting, making sure that we have, the facilities to put on something that is, surely going to be historical in the fact that we have not been together in one room, bringing the state leadership together. We started back in 2019 as a member of the Black Caucus Foundation and the Maryland Black Caucus, the 2030 Black Agenda, and we convened folks from around the state. But most of the leadership there, from a political perspective, was state elected officials, state leadership, delegates and senators, and other folks from around the state. However, in this case, we were bringing the local mayor, city council members, folks running for governor, running for comptroller, state's attorney, or I should say attorney general, the state's attorneys, as well as Mayor Brandon Scott will be there. So we're bringing as many folks from the leadership perspective around. I'm going to add the flyer to the screen so people can see it. But Ashely, you talked a little bit about what's happening, from a health perspective. Why is it so important that we bring our community together and address these issues? The pre-existing health conditions that we're dealing with. Why is it, so critical that we do this at this time?
Honestly, when it comes to these addressing diseases that come in our community, and it's not just necessarily at this time. This is something that's a long-standing conversation that should be continuing to have over time. And so we need to understand that there are different, for example, we're hearing about the monkeypox right now. That just kind of illuminates the idea that there are different viruses, bacteria, infections that we will encounter over the course of time. So amongst our community, we need to stay on top of what the major public health implications are within our communities and our surrounding areas. So we can kind of be vigilant about it. So we can be aware of what's there and then talk to our local community support groups, our local health departments, local community centers and organizations about the best ways that we can prevent infection or to actually support our bodies and ourselves such that we are more resistant to infection. And because we don't have that blanket understanding of that in our community, it really varies just how much individuals understand that. And I think if we can come together and actually discuss what are strategies and ways and resources that we can tap into to be aware and informed of what's going on in a very, very simplistic, not heavily in scientific jargon way to understand what we're impacted by, that is something that is critical for us to be able to discuss so we can spread that news within our communities and people know. Oh, you're muted.
We can't hear you, Darius.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to myself, actually, I guess. Robert, thank you for that answer, Dr. Queen. Robert, walk us through the collaboration and the partnership with Morgan State University, their engagement, the Caucus of African American Leaders, the NAACP, the Black Caucus Foundation, and the logistics, the date and times of the conference, please.
Yeah, definitely. So we started with a phenomenal partnership with Morgan State University. They have agreed to be the host site for the conference. And the conference will take place on July 8th and 9th. The Friday and the 8th will happen at the Earl Gray's Business School, and Saturday will take place at the Student Center at the university. We chose one of our HBCUs because at this year they've been under attack by individuals, literally under attack, where they've been threatened. Students have been threatened there. So we said, you know what? If this is a place for learning for us, let's use this as a space to create an opportunity for individuals from across the state to come together, to identify common challenges and issues within the state of Maryland, but also to provide viable solutions and a strategic agenda that we can take back to those communities. So we look for additional partners, such as the Maryland Black Caucus Foundation, the NAACP, the Caucus for African American Leaders. And those partnerships are critical because they have the bandwidth and the leadership capacity and the human capacity to really touch the leaders in our community, but also touch individuals within their network, to be able to reach within the community and speak with grassroots organizations and other like-minded individuals that have a shared concern for identifying challenges and providing solutions. We patterned this conference after the Gary Conference that happened in 1972. Over 400 organizations came together and over 10,000 individuals came together over the course of a weekend to develop an agenda, a national agenda for the Black community. And that's what we want to do here. We want to identify issues in our community, to be resilient, to have that resolve to say, you know what, we can take care of ourselves, right? Collaboratively, by coming together, collectively by coming together, identifying these issues, and then finding the resources and the individuals together that can help lead, but also can help implement some of the changes that are needed and that are necessary. This is not a fix-all, and we're not going to solve all of the problems in 48 hours, but we can use this as a vehicle for change, and where we can get individuals on board, right, with a strategic plan that we can roll out from here, and possibly use this as not only a blueprint for the state of Maryland, but then also in partnership with Morgan State University to do research, let them also lead as well, and then use this as possibly a national blueprint for our communities across the country.
How do people register for this conference? And we want people to go right now to register. Send it to your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your business partners. How do people register?
Yeah, sure. The quickest way to do it right now, if you were to go into Eventbrite and put in Maryland Crisis in the Black Community Conference, it'll pop up. Just literally go there and you can register for the conference. We have 2 days of events. We're talking about issues in legislative policy and voting, criminal justice and environmental justice, education and economics. And within that, we have breakout sessions, that we will lead throughout the day in environmental justice, healthcare policy, understanding the power that we have collectively, empowering our community through faith, legislative policy, policing in the Black community, drug policy, mental health and education, right? Looking at systems change and curriculum change in education. So there are a plethora of opportunities for individuals to really go online, go on to Eventbrite and register for this conference, and then attend one of the breakout sessions and share your concerns, share your solutions. We're not here to preach for 8 hours or 8.5 hours. We want this to be a summit, so to speak, where individuals can come together and provide solutions. And everyone at the table, whether you're an elected official or a grassroots organization or just a concerned citizen, everyone's voice has equal value, and as we put this agenda together.
Robert, thank you. As we talk about, what is really ailing us, and you talked about our HBCUs being attacked. There were bomb threats that, actually closed campuses throughout the country. And you had the recent shootings in Buffalo, New York. You had the situation that took place every day, I should say, the homicides, even on Juneteenth. We just celebrated Juneteenth, and we still had issues in our communities where we are seeing this overwhelming issues around violence. How do you see, bringing these folks together at this conference to be able to shift the engagement from a political perspective and make that bridge, so that we're tying the policies and the laws being made in Annapolis to turn into something beneficial and powerful for our community as it applies to grocery stores, fresh fruits and vegetables, reduction of mass incarceration, black businesses. How do you see the connection between policy being made at this conference? Now you're muted.
And that's why we want our elected officials there. We want them to be able to hear the voices of their constituents. You have to remember that they are there to serve the community. And we want the community, this is going to be a people's agenda. But it will also allow our elected officials the opportunity to hear what the concerns are directly. Oftentimes, we allow individuals to develop a plan based off of what they think is right for our community. This is an opportunity for individuals to come together, and we strongly encourage anyone that says, well, you know what, I have a problem with education, I have a problem in economics in the community, I have a problem in healthcare. If you have a problem, come to this conference, right? And let's talk about that. Let's get this in front of individuals that can then possibly, right, enact policy that can target that can specifically target our community. We have to get into the habit of talking about issues that concern us directly, right? And then using that platform to bring people to our table instead of asking for a seat at everyone else's table, right? If they clearly understand the power in our community as a collective, right? They will seek us out and want to work with us and enact policies that can help us more directly. But we have to get into the habit. You have to change the narrative and change the mindset, right? Change the mindset that instead of waiting for individuals to do for us, we have to do for ourselves. And the first thing we have to do is get together collectively, identify what's happening in our communities, provide some of those solutions, and that's that agenda, that's that blueprint, that's that plan. Then now put that at the table, the legislative table, and now those elected officials, they have it in front of them. They can no longer say that they need 60 days or 90 days or 120 days to develop a plan. This action plan will be in front of them on the very first day, and that's the time for them to act. If they do not act, right, then we follow that up with an action of our own, and that's when we get to the ballots, and that's when we go to the voting booth.
So speaking of voting, one of the major, you went on a was it 100-day?
100 days, yes, sir.
A 100-day liquid fast, even sacrificing your mother's down home Southern cooking for Thanksgiving. You had a liquid Thanksgiving dinner, brother. So I followed up and supported you. You came on the show and talked about it. I went on a 100 plus. I think I ended up at like 130 days. But you inspired me to do that. And the focus was on no alcohol. So I didn't drink any alcohol for about 130 days, just based on knowing that alcohol is responsible for 50% of the homicides, domestic violence, and sexual assaults in our nation. And I wanted to really bring attention to that. But you went on this liquid fast to encourage the Voting Rights Act to be passed and to be moved forward. Where is that right now in terms of the United States voting on the Voting Rights Act and making sure that black people have access to vote? It's crazy that we even talked about that in 2022. But, congratulations on that. And where are we with that now?
Well, the Voting Rights Act did not pass at that time. I ended my fast on February 22nd. So there was no action taken at that time. Since then, there has been steps in the right direction to improve access to the voting booth, right? So is the full action of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, has that passed collectively as it was written then? No, but there has been progress made. But when you talk about things that both of us have sacrificed, Darius, and that's me going on a liquid fast, and you saying that you were going to abstain from alcohol, this is what we need to be able. It's about sacrifice for our community, right? So imagine if we were to do those things in different spaces in our community, right? We talk about crime, we talk about alcohol, talk about drugs in our community, we talk about, just eating healthy and living healthier, right? And let's talk about violence in our communities. So we need to be able to change some of our behaviors. Those are all behaviors, right, that we can control. And we have to be willing to sacrifice some things that we've done in the past and change our behaviors, right? Even if it's just for a short term, if you do it for something for 20 days, it becomes a habit, right? And then you realize you don't need it. So I don't have a problem turning it on and off right now, saying I don't feel like eating today, right? Or just say, you know what, I'm just going to fast for the rest of this week. It's something that I can do. My mind is in a space where I know I can do it right now, and I'm pretty certain you're the same way with what you've done. But as it pertains to policy, what we wanted to do, and I have to give credit when credit is due, was started by Brother Joe Madison. I followed his lead on that, right? And he actually galvanized quite a few individuals to do it. We had other individuals from across the country that engaged in on shorter terms, but they at least brought attention to it. And it starts in a moment, and then it becomes a movement. And that's what we want this conference to be. We want it to be something that happens over a weekend, but it becomes a movement. And that movement is from state to state, right? From county to county, state to state. Individuals are coming together to identify challenges and then sitting together as a collective unit and providing viable solutions and an agenda, taking that agenda to the elected officials and saying, this is what we need. We don't need you to develop a plan. We have a plan, right? This is what we need. And then use your voting power, right? Again, as a collective, as a collective unit. And either you vote people in or you vote people out based on how they service your community, right? And we have to start to do that. We can no longer allow individuals for years and tell us what they are going to do. We have to say no. We have to let them know what we want them to do, right? And then provide them the opportunity to follow up on some of those things. Hold them accountable.
Who are some of the people that you're having expecting to be as we get ready to wrap at the conference?
Well, as you indicated, we sent out invitations to all 163 elected officials within the state. Right. I don't want to I don't want to give names right now, but hopefully we can have a couple of our county executives, some of our gubernatorial candidates come to the event as well. But I will tell you what, they can no longer say that they speak for the masses of people if they don't attend this event, or that they represent our communities and they've developed a plan for our community if they do not listen to individuals at this event, at this conference.
Excellent. Well, listen, Dr. Queen, thank you so much. Please, give us your closing remarks and appeal to women, people in the health field, why the scientists need to be at this conference. Speak to, your audience in terms of, what you represent as to why they need to be at this conference. Give us about 30 seconds of real strong pitch.
Absolutely. I really hope to see everyone there. I hope to see everyone register for this event. For people who have a scientific or a medical background like myself, I really encourage you to be a part of this conversation. There are things that we see in our day-to-day professions and our day-to-day interactions with patients and clients that individuals just don't have that access to. And we know it's all about being able to adequately communicate this to our communities. We know our community doesn't wholeheartedly understand everything that we are impacted by, and we are that middleman or middle woman to be able to actually speak to these individuals and educate them, share our experiences. And then also from the financial aspect, we are in a position now where we are actually at a point where we can actually grow our identities, grow our wealth, and take advantage of that. It is not out of reach. You just need to know who to speak to. And that's what I hope that we can, from my perspective, my expertise, take away from this event so that we can propel ourselves to the next stage and be able to prepare a better future for our younger generations and for the current generations. Mute.
Thank you so much. Again, this is the Peace in the Morning Show, Funky Friday. We are focused on the Crisis in the Black Community Conference. Please go register today. It's on Eventbrite. It's no cost. We need you to be there. Thank you, Brother Robert Johnson, for your leadership. Dr. Ashely Queen, the NAACP, Maryland State Conference, Caucus of African American Leaders, the Black Caucus Foundation, all the other organizations and individuals that are really working to make sure our communities are leading. The three things that I heard that was so critical: we're going to unify our community here, we're going to create a strategy, and we're going to hold each other accountable to make sure that it gets done. That's leadership. We're starting here in Maryland. Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, we want to make them proud, and all of our great and righteous ancestors. Thank you so much for joining the Peace in the Morning show. This is Darius A. Stanton and Dr. Ashely Queen, Robert Johnson. Have a beautiful day. Funky Friday. Share this show. Register for the conference right now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. We only have seats and room for 400 people for both Friday and Saturday. We need you to be there. No matter what you lead, if you're only a leader of yourself, you need to lead that. We look forward to seeing you. Peace in the morning.